Mr. Ganesh Natrajan, thank you so much for speaking to the CSR Journal. First, tell me the basics that you are involved in and the initiative and the vision behind it.
See, I'm currently involved in two or three initiatives. One is the whole Skilling India initiative, where we are saying that, look, we need to build a proper model where we build motivation in youth, show them career opportunities, identify skilling areas, and then lead them towards employment or entrepreneurship. The second is, as Chairman of NASSCOM Foundation, we are working very closely with the Ministry of IT on the National Digital Literacy Mission. So we are now in the process of setting up 100 digital literacy centers, including some buses as mobile literacy centers, to meet the objective that the Prime Minister has laid out, that one member of every family in the country should be digitally literate. So that's an initiative that we're doing. The third is, of course, I'm on the board of an entity called Social Venture Partners, which is a global entity which works with NGOs who are in the livelihood space and enables them to scale forward. So ultimately the idea is building more capability, more employability and more jobs within the country.
We have heard a lot about what the government has said, the Modi government, and there's a lot that goes about CSR entrepreneurship. I mean, at the end of it, it's just that we're hearing all of this in the news. At the end of the day, the common man asks, how can I be involved in this? How much of this is going to reach me? And the whole process from the idea pitched to the implementation and execution of it. So what would you say on that?
See, it is a huge task. If you really look at the agenda, they're talking about 300 million people to be made employable in the next 5 years. So you're talking about 1 million people per week who have to be trained and made employable. Not easy, because if you take 30,000 rupees per person as a budget, you're talking about a few 100,000 crores. So that's the agenda. But having said that, I think the new ministry that's been formed, which is under Mr. Rajiv Pratap Rudy, Ministry of Skills and Entrepreneurship, I think they've started off on a very sound footing. They have a good plan. The National Skills Development Corporation has been doing good work. So I think it's just a question of all entities coming together, corporates with CSR funds, individual social enterprises and NGOs, and government involvement in the right directions. I think we can get there. It's a big task, but if we don't get started, nothing will ever happen.
There was a report by Harvard in 2001, and that is where the whole CSR understanding came about, and they always expressed it as a sharing value. The concept was sharing value. Over here in India, we have it as a give and take, I make so much profit and I am giving you this. We don't have the concept of sharing. How long do you think that will take to be implemented in India?
See, I think there's nothing wrong initially, given the 2% CSR bill. That if there are 10,000 crores available as grants, and even if it's a give and take kind of model, as you said, it's fine. But what is important is to make it sustainable. Just giving a one-off grant is not going to build capability. So I think what we're doing in SVP, Social Venture Partners, is to ensure that, you take venture capital principles, which is building scalability, sustainability in even NGOs. And I think that's where shared value will come, because you will enable them to sustain in the long term. And if an NGO sustains in the long term, they're multiplying the good work they do. So I think that's where shared value will happen.
In today's times, most companies do not reveal the correct figures that they are making. And eventually, even with the give and take, some money is always taken back, very slyly kept. They're showing figures on the reports. Do you think after it's been made mandatory, there is more supervision required to this?
See, I'm not in favor of supervision, and I think there are enough, even in our own company's NSR, we were spending over 3% of our profits even before this 2% of profits came in. So I think there are enough large companies like the Tatas and the Mahindras, smaller companies like us and so many others who are doing good work. So I don't think, if somebody wants to be a thief, no amount of policing is going to stop it. I think the motivation, the agency has to come from within. Many of us as CEOs are very passionate about India, want to see change happen, and I think we need more of that. If there are a few crooked companies, they'll always be there. No amount of policing will stop that.
What do you expect from the whole CSR regime in India?
I think, in fact, I'm doing a lot of lectures around the world which talks about this being a first of its kind, the 2%. Okay, so at least it's a direction saying that, look, give back. Okay, and my expectation is that it will grow. In the first year, a lot of people haven't even been able to spend their entire CSR budgets because there weren't enough programs. But entities like NASSCOM Foundation, CII Foundation are creating packaged programs where people can invest. Like we ourselves in the city of Pune have set up a Section 25 company called Pune City Connect, where we are saying that this will be the corporate partnership to the municipal corporation, and we will create packages where people can invest in CSR. So I think given the right thrust, it will be taken forward much better in future.
It's been made mandatory, of course, under the Companies Act in 2013. Do you see any loopholes in this law?
I think there'll always be loopholes. That's why I said you should go by the principle and saying, are you interested in spending 2% or not? And not worry about policing and monitoring. Your auditors will anyway report whether you're saying the right thing in the annual report, then I think that should be enough.
So you believe there should be transparency and no supervision.
Transparency, no control. But there should be reporting, which they're already saying that, look, report what you're doing or what you're not doing in your annual report. Let your auditor also certify that what they are saying is right and this is genuine CSR money is being spent. And I think if you do that, I think I have enough faith in innate Indian humanness to make it happen.
How important do you think are individuals to the whole CSR aspect?
I think it's extremely important. In fact, our biggest passion in Zensar is the volunteering part. In fact, we measure success in CSR as what percentage of our employees are engaged in volunteering. But that is what will build momentum. It's not just writing checks. So I think individual, corporate, collaborative and participative responsibility is what makes CSR really happen.
When it was being made mandatory, was there any idea that you pitched to the government at that time, to bring about this change, or was it something that you said that they took into consideration?
Well, I've been part of many committees in CII and NASSCOM, which have talked to the government about this, made sure that the right things were done, and even areas that, if you look at the 20 or 21 items under which CSR money can be spent, I think there have been a lot of collaboration. So I'm totally with the government that this needs to be done. They've done the right thing. Let's make it happen through voluntary participation and not coercion.
In exactly about 8 to 10 words, tell me what is CSR to you?
CSR to me is an opportunity to give back, it's an opportunity to do good, an opportunity to make India great.
Thank you so much.